Hello, everyone. We're so glad you're here with us. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to talk about, because it's the week of General Conference, we are going to talk about how we are preparing for General Conference. And we also want to hear how you are preparing for General Conference. So I'm going to tell you the topic of each part of our discussion. And then if you put in your comments what you're doing, then we'll be able to talk about what we're doing here and also what all of you are doing all around the world. So we're going to start out with the very first question, which is your favorite food to eat at conference time. It even could be your favorite candy if you like to eat candies at conference.
Okay, it's always chocolate.
I knew
And
it.
and usually we're playing conference bingo with our kids or grandkids, so it's always chocolate.
Okay, that's so fun, Andrea.
Okay, for us is to share very typical sweets from Argentina. So alfajores de dulce de leche, medias lunas. So
Oh.
and we drink mate.
Oh, that is so fun.
Yeah.
And we make omelets.
Oh,
Yeah. So we lay out all the stuff and you get to choose all the
like a
things you
little-
want in your omelet and you put it in a little cup and then you come over to the person who's cooking the omelets and you just dump your
And is it
toppings
Greg
in.
who usually is the one?
Yeah, you just never know. Yeah. But usually Greg.
fun.
Greg loves,
I
And
love
Greg
delicious.
loves to be the cook at our house. So usually Greg, sometimes Tyson.
That's awesome.
Okay, that was a fun one. Okay, I thought this would be fun to know. In your entire lifetime, the favorite place where you have watched conference. Should I go first? While
Yeah,
you're
you
all-
go first.
Okay. One of my favorite conferences ever, I love watching at my house with all my kids. So let me just get that out of the way. But one of my favorite ever was when my parents were serving as mission presidents in Ventura, California. And we dressed up and went to the church to watch it with all the members at the church and the missionaries. And I will never forget that conference.
Yeah, it was the same for me because in Argentina we were watching it at the church. So it was church.
And for me, it just reminded me of being in the mission home in Carlingford, just outside of Sydney, Australia. At 3 in the morning, we would have to set our alarm at 3 in the morning, Australia time, to watch conference the day before.
Yeah, we
So-
sometimes forget that conference is at all different times
Yes.
of the day for people everywhere.
And in some countries they see in a week.
Yeah, they don't
week
see it.
after.
Yes,
Yes,
And
they don't see
Australia,
it at the
that's what
same
they do.
moment, the very moment because they are sleeping.
yes, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, that's so fun. Okay, I thought this would be so interesting to know. And I would love to hear from you, anyone who has great ideas, and we're going to read some of them. But how do you take notes at conference? What does that look like for you? Also, is everyone a note taker here? Because some people are not note takers.
I'm the biggest fan of taking notes. And I love this quote by Richard G. Scott. He said, knowledge carefully recorded is knowledge available in time of need. So I feel like the Spirit is present when you're writing it down, but also when you're rereading those notes, I think the Spirit is there. And I also feel like it's in your back pocket. Once you've written it down, studied it, and maybe even taught it to other family members or friends, it's yours for life.
That's so good.
I love also to take notes. And when I am taking notes, if I feel something from the spirit, I will write it and I will put a star. I will draw a star. So I know that this is
Yeah,
I
what
felt.
came for you.
Yes, just for me.
That's so good. That's also my secret code.
Really?
An
A star?
asterisk, a little asterisk. Then I know, oh, this is what the Spirit made
Yeah.
me think.
Yeah.
And if it was really strong, I'll put an asterisk and an exclamation mark.
Oh,
that's
so good.
Yeah,
That's
I know.
wonderful.
But also I loved what you were showing when you take notes during conference on your piece of paper.
This is I do for study.
After.
Yeah.
Oh, then I don't let me get ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to share a way that I loved to take notes. My later teenage years and early 20s, this was my favorite way to take notes. So, what I did is I would assign colors. I would pick 5 things I wanted to know more about in my life, and I would assign each of them one color. Sometimes I did those star stickers. Have you ever seen those star stickers that are the bright colors and they come in diagonals on that
Oh,
long
yes,
thing of
yes,
paper?
yes.
Sometimes I would do those. Or whatever colors you want. And I would assign, so let's pretend like it was a conference when I was younger. I would say, I want to learn more how to be a good friend. So that would be this color. I'm thinking about going on a mission. So I would make that this color, anything I learn about that. I want to know if Heavenly Father loves me, and I would assign blue. I want to know more about Jesus Christ. I always put this one every conference. I love learning more about Jesus Christ. I want to know more about the temple and covenants. So I used to go through and then I would take my stickers off and I would put them when they said the quote, I would assign which one it was. So then I could go back through all my conference notes. And if I read all the blues, then it was Heavenly Father loves me. But lately, what I do is I just get 5 colors of pens.
Oh, and different colors.
Yeah, and then I know which is which. And so then as I go, I'm like, oh, that is this one, or this is this one.
I love that you
What a
do
good
that.
idea.
If you're somebody who needs to be entertained
Yeah.
And
during
visually,
conference,
like a
yeah,
visual.
yeah, then this is such a fun idea. It adds a little
love
bit of
it.
color, and also I just love like thinking through these are things that feel important to me this conference. And I always write it at the beginning of my notes, and it's so fun to go back through my conference notes and be like, those are the things I was like struggling with or concerned about or praying about or things like that. So there's that idea.
And I think I love what you just shared because the Spirit has special acoustics and you have to trust that the Heavenly Father knows your heart and your heartache and all of the things that you're concerned about and the questions that you have and the things that you're hoping to improve on. And so you will get those specific messages. And I'll just add this, all three of us have spoken at General Conference before. And as we're preparing for conference and the message that we feel prompted to share, it's really a sweet experience. And it can change, right? As we're thinking about one thing, maybe I remember going to the temple before my last conference talk and feeling seeing something completely different as I sat in the celestial room, as I looked around at the parents that were in the room. And I remember coming home and saying to my husband, I know what I'm supposed to talk about.
Mm.
And it had changed completely from what I thought I was going to share. And I felt like that came from a Heavenly Father who knows his children and knew what they were needing. Yeah.
How about you? Have you had any specific experience preparing for a conference talk?
Well, I felt just from the beginning what I need to write about or talk about. So it was different. But then I felt that this strokes of ideas, and it was wonderful. For the first time, I received everything like it. So it's different for each one of us.
Yeah.
And then I love that I had the opportunity to read it and record it in Spanish.
Yes.
Oh, I
So
love that.
yes,
Yeah,
so in
that
English
was so
was
fun.
live, but then the experience for the recording.
And giving it in your own language.
Yes.
The last conference talk I gave, I will never forget. Just having this impression one day toward the end when I was just getting ready to wrap everything up and all the editing was done. And this impression came, every word will matter. And it made me go back and read word for word through that conference talk to see, did I really pay attention to each word, that every word was going to be so important? And do we ever think about that as we read the talks and as we listen, that every single word is thought through?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Okay, this one's fun.
Mhm.
How do you study after conference?
Okay, so I learned from Elder Bednar this, and now I'm doing always because I love it, is to grab a piece of paper, and then you make these lines and you divide in columns. So in the first one, you can put the name of the talk, and the second one, you will put the doctrine or the truth that you are learning. The other one is promises, because usually, every talk has promises.
Promise blessing.
Yeah. And then in the last one are invitations. What is the invitation that the action things that I can do to put this doctrine, as an agent to something
Yes.
to learn about this. And I love, and
Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
that.
it's so good. The doctrine, the promises, the
the
invitations.
invitations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful.
That's so
And this helps me to learn a lot and to put in practice, right?
Yes, that's so good.
And for me, it's usually just two things. And this is sort of how my New Year's resolutions are as well. I can't just, they can't be 12 different things in 12 different areas. I just like to think of one thing that I could start doing as a result of what I've felt or the impressions I've had from the speakers and the messages shared. And also one thing that I could move away from or let go of
Mm,
in my life that maybe this isn't helping me, this is a distraction or something that would bless me. So I think something to start doing and something to move away from if it's not something that's spirit filled and helping me.
oh, I love that so much. And one of my favorite parts of General Conference, and you just never know how often it is going to happen or not, but often when we listen to the prophet or the apostles speak, at the end of their talk, they will leave a blessing with us. And I love to gather the blessings of conference. It is one of my favorite things to do is just those things that we are promised that we walk away with and especially the ones that we are blessed with to write them down. And then usually the week before conference, so like this week before conference, I will try and go back and look at all the promises that were given and just see what have I experienced in my own life that they promised was going to happen over the next 6 months.
So
So
beautiful.
that's kind of
Great
fun.
idea.
I love that.
Okay. We talked to young women and we've been listening to young women talk about how they're preparing for conference. And we thought it might be fun to share with you how some young women around the world are preparing for conference. So do you want to go first?
Yes. So one of them says, I know that if I prepare myself for general conference, I could receive answers by the voice of the prophets, like if Jesus Christ was answering me. I love it that she prepared so when they are there in the voice of the prophets and apostles, of course, they are prophets also, they can hear the voice and the answer of Jesus Christ. And the prophets, they represent Jesus Christ.
That's so good.
I heard someone share that they like to prepare the physical space that they're sitting in while they're watching conference. So like clean up the room that you're in, organize it so everything's sorted and it feels like, I don't know, it's almost like you can take a deep breath when I've done a little bit of cleaning in that room, but also to prepare yourself, kind of have a cleanse before, maybe a week or two before conference. Only watch things that really invite the spirit, what you're listening to, what you're seeing on Instagram, just being really intentional about only seeing those things that are uplifting and blessing. I love that idea.
That's so good. And I'm going to end with this one from a young woman who said, I love to write down questions. And then I pray that I will hear answers for those questions. And it made me think I need to take a little bit of time in the next couple of days to just do that same thing and write down what are my questions? What am I taking to conference with me? And maybe it's something specific, or maybe it's just I need more peace, or I want to experience rest, or I want to love better. Maybe that's the question that you're taking that you're going to be watching so carefully for. We have to mention this because it was in the comments. Cinnamon rolls. Is anyone have a cinnamon roll tradition in this
I
room?
wish I had a cinnamon roll.
No, but I love cinnamon rolls.
Okay.
They
And if
are
anybody
good.
makes cinnamon, oh, I better not say that. I
Just
was going to give out my address.
yeah. I do love that there are certain conference traditions, and maybe that's what we'll leave you with at the very end is what are your conference
Yes.
traditions that you love, that you're looking forward to? And if you don't have any yet, sit down with your family or whoever you're going to watch conference with and make a list of conference traditions. We hope you love conference. We're going to be thinking about you for all of conference. In every talk, we will be thinking about each of you and praying that you hear just what you need. And we just want to end with how much we
We do. When you see